Hi guys, as I said on Wednesday, we would be doing a comparison of some drag racing sets this weekend, and I was referring to the Snake and Mongoose. This is the RLC sets from back in 2011 and the new Team Transporter sets that came out in 2018. So I think I'm the first one to do this comparison. Somebody may have done it a couple years ago when these became readily available. But since I'm new to this game, I'm going to go ahead and do this comparison with my own twist on it. As you see, the RLC sets are still in the box. I've had them out before for some pictures and such things. It's just hard to get them in and out and unscrew them, so instead of going through that during the video, we're just going to leave them in the boxes, the display cases today. That way it doesn't take so much time to unscrew them from the bases and such things. So I have a couple sets of the Team Transporters because I like them. I love Snake and Mongoose, love drag racing stuff. As you know, I'm a big Mopar fan, so these two Plymouths have a lot of love from me. But I also collect a lot of vintage racing stuff. So that's something else you'll start noticing, that we'll start doing some videos of vintage racing cars, Trans Am series, NASCAR, but predominantly drag racing. That's where my true love is with drag racing. Also, we'll stick with Mopars and some other random muscle cars, and also some trucks, and rarely, but sometimes JDM and Euro stuff. So, just give you a heads up and what's in store for you guys. So, anyways, I got one loose set here and one carded set to the Team Transporters, and in the background, there are the Hall of Fame Snake and Mongoose cars from the milestone moments from the earlier 2000s. These are the really old castings that were used in 1969, 1970 when this rivalry first started. So, anyways, let's take a look at them first. And you can see how the casting has evolved. Here is Mongoose. As you can see, this casting is kind of primitive. Still yet cool, but very primitive compared to the newer releases. This newer release, I think, was first made for Drag Strip Demons, this casting. This car was not ever in Drag Strip Demons, this Mongoose variant. There was the Mongoose 2, and then the English Leather Dusters, but never this one in particular. There was the Mongoose English Leather that was a little bit similar to this paint job, but still yet, this was never released in the Drag Strip Demons. The casting was made for that series, and then different variations of the Mongoose was there. But yeah, this is a much more accurate casting. Very beautiful car. Pretty much spot on with wheels, tires, everything. Flip up body, which the old style ones had the flip up body too. But yeah, this is just overall much better looking casting, much more accurate for a 70 Duster than what the old one was. I mean, they kind of were in the right direction. I mean, the tail lights are there. Let it focus in. It's kind of hard because it's still in the clamshell, and rarely do you see something I don't open, but this is one of them that I don't want to open. I'm just keeping it because, as I said before, sometimes card art and everything makes certain cars, and this one with the card of the original picture and stuff really makes this car. And I haven't had any real problems with Hot Wheels, like having the paint rash and stuff. As I said in previous videos, for being the cheapest car company, they have probably the best paint quality. Maybe tampos, and sometimes they'll have some issues, but the main paint itself is pretty damn good. So as you can see, the grill tampo and such is very nice for the Duster, pretty accurate. Just the overall body lines and the wheel openings and stuff, and the wheels that they chose, Very primitive, but hey, it's a 1969 casting, so it's very old. So for being an original, it's great. The original casting, I should say. These came out back in 2003. So 35th anniversary set. As you can see there, the emblem. So I should have known that was 2003 when I seen that. So let's take a look at the snake version, the CUDA version. Which actually, out of the others, this one is very accurate with the roof spoiler. Like if you notice the Legends sets with the 124th and 164th car, the little one, the big one, they have that roof spoiler. Even though it's like a newer casting, such as the one like on the Team Transporter, but it had the roof spoiler. So this is actually, in that area, a little more accurate than this one, which I never really noticed before doing this video, but I do remember seeing the Legends sets and that Legends car, the 124th, that starts up and shakes like that, which is a really badass snake set. That also has the roof spoiler, so that is kind of cool. But this car is very accurate to the real thing, besides that roof spoiler. And he may have had a couple of different variants of the car that he actually raced with and without the roof spoiler. It's a little bit before my time, so I can't say I ever really watched these guys race in person. But yeah, the CUDA funny car itself, though, very, very accurate compared to this guy, which is the original casting, the Red Line car from back in 69, 70 era. But they did okay. As I said, tail light tampos and the front grille area is close, but just the overall body proportions, it's kind of like sandwiched. It looks like it's been sectioned. If you guys know that term in car customizing, that's where they cut the center of the body horizontally and take out like 2 or 3 inches and then weld it back together. And that's kind of what this looks like, comparing them to each other. It looks like a sectioned CUDA, the Hall of Fame one. So it's kind of cool, but it does have that toyish look, but that's what they were made for, to be played with. Now, let's take a look at the RLC sets. And as you see in the background here, this is a very cool picture. This picture was offered right after Tom McEwen died. This was given away at the Texas convention where Larry Wood was. I was not fortunate enough to go to this event. I was still living in the Philippines, and I still am. But one of my buddies that went to the show got this for me and brought it here for me, which I really appreciated that, because I'm a big, as I said, Snake and Mongoose fan and Larry Wood fan too. So this is very cool. The first picture that was made in memory of Snake, or no, I'm sorry, for the Mongoose McEwen, and signed by Larry Wood. So a very cool picture. Goes great with these sets. So this here is a close-up look at the truck and the car. The car is pretty much exactly the same as the retro. Not much difference at all. The only things I will point out is, if you can see on the roof, the tampo on the roof, deck lid, and trunk lid are more detailed. They have stars. That's the only difference. And the header pipes on the RLC one are painted black. That's pretty much the only differences. Wheels, tires, everything else is pretty much the same. There may be a couple of other little tampos here and there that the RLC has that the Car Culture Team Transporter does not have, but besides that, it's exactly the same. Now, the deal breaker, though, of how some guys would always say, oh, the Team Transporter, same thing. Why pay the $50? Well, now these sets are upwards of $100, $150 each. But why pay that kind of money when you can buy the Team Transporter set for like $12? Well, this is the deal breaker. The truck. The truck is actually a real Dodge quad cab. This is exactly what they call it, a retro rig. It's some Ford Dodge crossover looking truck thing, single cab that they kind of made that could be universal for all the sets. As you can see, the cabs are much, much different. The bed's much, much different. The truck in the car culture, or for the car culture, is very cheap compared to the one in the RLC sets. The RLC set is beautiful. It's basically exactly 100% what they used back in 1970 to haul their cars. Then let's take a look at the Snake set, which is going to be the same thing. CUDA and is pretty much identical. Header pipes are black on this one too, in the RLC set. Star tampos on the top, blue stripe, and maybe a couple of more tampos on the sides, like the Pennzoil tampo is not on the one from the retro series. So a couple slight differences like that. Actually, the paint on the retro, the retro car culture things are much shinier than the RLC one. Maybe it's because the RLC one's getting a little older. I need to wax it or something like that, but I think there's more clear on these car culture ones. So then, once again, the rig. The retro rig has nothing on the Dodge. I think it's a D400 quad cab. As I said, the quad cab is pretty much spot on, exactly what they used back in the day. This is just some generic made up fantasy rig by Mattel that they can use across the board. It's the same thing that the Nova Supernova uses in its set, the Black Hole set. So I think that's why they made it this way. So you could kind of use it universally as like maybe a Mopar truck, maybe a Ford truck, or even a Chevy, something like that. I don't think it would pass for a Chevy though. It kind of looks more like a F100 front end or a D100 front end, but definitely does not have that 70 era C10 look. C10 had a round wheel opening. So it could be used neutral as like a Ford or a Dodge, I would say. That's why they just call it the retro rig. So it's cool and nice. I mean, I have no complaints for the price of the sets, because even when the RLC sets came out, they were about, I think, $40 each. I did buy them originally when they were first released from RLC, and I ended up selling them, and then I recently bought these back again while living in the Philippines. So I'm glad I was able to acquire them again for a good price, because it definitely goes good since they released these car culture sets, and I have these Hall of Fame guys with using the original castings, so kind of have all these different variants of the same car by Hot Wheels. That's why I said it's a drag racing comparison, but only one brand. It's just all Hot Wheels, comparing 3 different funny cars, 2 different trucks, and actually 2 different truck castings and 2 different funny car castings. For the CUDA, 2 different versions, and then for the Duster, 2 different versions. So yeah, these are great sets. All of them are. Even the Hall of Fame cars, I have no complaints about them, because that was before they had these new CUDA and Duster castings. So yeah, using the original Redline style castings for those was great. So Yeah, this is my overall comparison. So RLC sets are well worth the money, much different, as you can see with the trucks. Trucks and the RLC sets are much better. The cars, though, are pretty much the same exact things, except the RLC cars have stars in the blue stripes. That's about the only difference, in black headers. So the thing that sells those sets, though, is the truck. The boxes and display case are nice too, so it always makes a very nice display piece. That's why I just keep them in the display case. As I said, I do have some pictures, maybe on Instagram or on Facebook, of them loose. So that's another thing. You guys can find me on Instagram, same name, Ron Muscle Car Diecast, just one word. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, feel free to look me up, and I'll swap with you guys and follow you too. I always love to look at other people's diecasts. So Monday we'll do another video, and it will be just your premium unboxing of a few cars, maybe some Auto Worlds and green lights. Not sure what I have in store next week for the chase pieces. I got plenty of them to open. So I'll let you guys know. It will be a Chevy though. It will be some Chevy chase vehicles. Since we did a Ford last week, we'll open something for the GM guys. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you haven't done this yet, please hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, that way you never miss any of these videos. I will always have more great things coming up for you. Take care.